Hey, here we are from metrics to momentum. This is part 4, and I'm gonna make myself just a little bit bigger, get myself set up here. And we are talking about leading with emotion, not logic, and how you choose and create. And I got a little doodle bird here. Maybe I do need to make myself a little bit smaller. Yeah, I can pull up my little doodle bird here. I know exactly which way. Like, it's easy. This is emotional authority, whole body, mind, aligned, all of it coming together. So this is a series that I've been doing from my blog that I've been sharing, and this is part 4. I'll put a link here to part 1 if you're interested to go from the very beginning. And it's all about how you can shift from metrics to momentum. And it's all about shifting from external stuff to guide you to internal to guide you, because that's really where your momentum, that's where your stay with itness is. So we're going to be talking about some emotions. So I think I do need to make myself smaller, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to read from my post. Oh, maybe I can be bigger. Here we go. Sorry. All right. What color do you choose? Imagine 5 chairs: red, yellow, green, blue, purple. Now answer quickly, which one do you sit in? And most advice will tell you to make a list, compare features to assign meaning, right? If you're really going to plan this out, like that's how I used to do things, right? Like, let me figure out the pros and cons and what could come out of this and what could come out of that. What am I trying to do? Really analyze it, right? Blue means calm, purple is regal, green's about growth. So you can think about it that way. Use color psychology, right? I really don't like color psychology because it depends. It assumes, color psychology assumes that we all come from the same experiences, culture, communities, environment, etc., and that's simply not true. So not everybody feels the same about each color. So blue means calm, purple is regal, green's about growth. You'll be encouraged to choose based on strategy, symbolism, or psychology. But what if you choose based on feeling? What if your decision didn't need to be justified? And not that, when I say, choose it based off of a feeling, I'm not saying, oh, blue means sad, so don't pick that one. I'm not saying that. That goes back to color psychology or symbolism on there. I'm just saying, which one speaks to you? Which one feels, yes, that color, Maybe it's your favorite color, maybe it's not your favorite color. What if you chose based on feeling? What if your decision didn't need to be justified? What if it just felt right? That's emotional authority. And many of us, especially generators, I'm a generator with emotional authority, with defined emotion centers. I have a lot of people in my life who have defined emotion centers, but I also have a lot of people who are not. This is the only this is the only place true clarity comes from. Because what happens when you have emotional authority, according to human design, is that you have to kind of ride your wave. That if you're too high up in the wave, very excited, that you might pick something that later on you regret because you were wrapped up in the excitement. And if you pick something from a stress point, you pick something based off of somebody else's opinions, probably more so than what's yours. Now, I'm a generator with defined emotion center, and I've really been watching my wave and how I'm making decisions and stuff. And I don't always feel like you have to wait till that wave balances. First of all, I just do some nervous system regulating, some somatic practices that I have, and that helps me to balance out and I can make a decision. But I also have other things in my human design that helps me to make decisions. It's not just strictly from my emotion center, because I can start to feel and sense like, oh, you know what? I'm not feeling very, attuned. I feel like there's too many voices in my head, and I can start, let me detangle some of these voices. And I guess in some ways that balances my wave. But it's not just sit around and wait a week for that emotion to die out, because I got to make decisions quicker than that. So, but it's still the emotions, how I feel about something, how I sense it, is where the true clarity is. And I would say that most of us would probably agree with that, I'm hoping. So you've probably noticed it too. We're often taught to lead with logic, to explain, to prove, to be clear before we even begin. But emotional clarity doesn't work that way. It moves like a tide, a fog that lifts, a warmth that returns. And if we wait, if we learn the rhythm of our emotional wave, we find that what was once uncertain becomes obvious. And so I guess that's what I mean, that you could, some people who are totally unaware, they may just let their wave out. You know what? I just can't make a decision because I just feel overwhelmed. I have the go-to things, the other tools in place that, oh, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. This is a little bit much. I know that I probably shouldn't make a decision from this place. I have things that I can do that shifts my emotional wave, and I can move through it faster than what I used to. So it's not just sitting around and waiting. And I feel like that is never really clearly talked about with a lot of human design guidance, especially if you get some of the books that are for beginners and stuff. There are ways that you can navigate this, that you could be an active participant in your emotional wave. So field notes, this is what I call my blog field notes, because it's about my energy field, because I'm the one writing it. And it is also about where I actually stand, where my field is, my house. I'm technically sitting at my desk right now, but it's where my field is. It's where I've planted myself. So my first year on LinkedIn, I wrote like a teacher, structured, informed, clear, and very flat. I began to wonder if I had anything to offer. Others seemed so confident, and I was a professor. But on LinkedIn, that did not transfer. When I shifted to what felt good, even when all the advice warned against it, and yep, I got some of those messages, but I started to find my rhythm. And it wasn't necessarily polished like I had to be when I was representing the college or any other job that I had in the past. I felt like I needed to have a certain type of polish that represented what that was. But now I was doing it for me. And you know what? I am a human being, and I am not perfect all the time. And sometimes I show up a little bit messy, and I kind of let that be my thing. And I used to have Doodlebirds as my banner, and I would get all kinds of people saying, hey, I can help you, with your graphics. I'm like, you are missing the point. I am being sketchy and unpolished on purpose. This is my vibe. I'm an in-progress person. I can be polished, but I refuse to try to be perfect. Okay, so not polished like I thought I had to be when representing the college, but present in who I was. That was my key thing. And it still is. This is something I built for longevity. This is something that's not going to change. Writing on LinkedIn was the first time I was doing something just to share who I was. I was representing me, not a company, not the prestige of my title, not what I thought others wanted from me. It was a bit bumpy. Yes, very much so. Felt like I was the first one walking through the weeds without a path to guide me. Yep. But as I continued, what came through was more true, more resonant, more me. And when it really started to come through, it was around November 2024. And now, right now, it's at the time I'm recording this, it's June 2025. I'm seeing so many people starting to walk this path too. And they may also feel like they're walking through the weeds and they're the first ones carving it, because we all have our own path. And even when we walk a guided path, it's still not like, paved. You still have your own journey to go through it. If you're walking a path that feels like it's fully paved and everything, you're probably walking somebody else's path. That's the way I look at it. So it was bumpy, but it was well worth it because I started just feeling like me, you know. It was a beautiful thing. And when I started doing that, I started getting people coming to me and inviting me to do things that I hadn't thought about, that I didn't pursue. And so it was really cool to, open up your email or open up your DMs and it's like, hey, do you want to come and speak in my masterclass? Oh, I'd love to do this joint thing with you. And I had, from being podcasts to go in to speak and some other projects that people said, I really could use somebody like you to come and help me with whatever their thing is that, that they were working on something, a few of them. I'm not at liberty to say what they were. But things came to me and it wasn't things that I was necessarily looking for, but when they were presented, I was like, heck yeah, that's aligned. Yeah, this would be a great experience. I would actually like this experience. And so it was just really cool that I didn't have to chase it. And oftentimes they weren't things I would have thought about to even chase, but I liked them. So anyway, pretty cool. So that shift was no accident. It came from working with my human design. If you know me, I love human design. It came from recognizing that what I thought was messy was actually my magic. When you've lived this, you've experienced, you delay decisions, waiting for mental clarity. You overthink how you express yourself. You draft posts that sound right but feel wrong. You feel pressure to explain yourself to be valid. You rarely check in with how something feels. That's what I was doing before. So we go back up to here, taught to lead with our logic, to explain, to prove, to be clear before we begin. That's not emotional clarity, right? That's using all of our logic. And so this is what happens, you delay those decisions, waiting for mental clarity or worse, somebody else to tell you it's okay. And that's the right thing to do. Overthink how you express yourself. You draft posts that sound right but feel wrong. You feel pressure to explain yourself to be valid. You rarely check in with how something feels. This isn't about abandoning logic, but it's about remembering feeling. So, resonance from feeling, a gentle turn inward. Close your eyes for a moment. Seriously, like right now, close your eyes for a moment. Picture those chairs again. There's red, there's yellow, green, blue, purple. Which one feels like how you're feeling today? Which one represents how you want to feel? Like if I did that right now, for some reason, it's yellow. And I like the color yellow. I actually have some home decor that's yellow, but I would never wear yellow. I look ill in yellow. But for some reason, yellow there's something about a crisp, clean brightness of it, a pureness of it, almost like you can't quite look at it because it's so bright. That's the kind of yellow that I'm thinking about, which is not the kind of yellows that I have in my house, but that's the kind of yellow that's coming to me. That's emotional awareness. Where green, one of my all-time favorite colors, you'll see I always have like my watch bands green. I wear green beads. There's always greenery around my house. I love green. I love trees. I love grass. They're all green. I just love green. But when I closed my eyes and I thought about that yellow, that intensity, like that's that energy of yellow, that's what I wanted. And green was like, no, for whatever reason, no green today. So it's going to change, right? It's not based off of favorite color. It's based off of what energy am I feeling? That's emotional awareness. That's decision making. That's clarity, not from the mind, but from the body. See, if I would have done that for my mind, I probably would have said green is my favorite color, and green is a grounding color, and it's nature, and I like being associated with that. But yellow is the thing that is in my vibe right now. And maybe it's because I'm recording this and I'm feeling my vibe, dishing it to you, right, in this recording. And so maybe that's what I'm attuned with, this brightness, this light. Let me shine a light. So, and if you want support for this, I've made something that can help. And it's called the Grounding by Human Design Center. It's a guide to help you connect with your body, your energy, and your design. It shows you how to feel your center's signals so you stop spiraling and start sensing. No human design knowledge required. I've made this super easy. Send you your chart, blah, blah, blah. It's all included. So I don't want this to be like a sales pitch, but that if you struggle to figure out how you ground, that could be something that can help you with it. But what I really want to talk about is this natural ripple. Since shifting into emotional led creation, opportunities show up without me pushing. Sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes a client, sometimes an unexpected idea. It flows because I'm flowing. That's the key. It's happening because I'm happening. Because I've anchored into my emotional wave and I've learned to ride it. So Phil notes, as you know, this is my real life here. This is also what I guide people toward in my flow prints, which is what I call my human design readings. I don't call them readings because they're much more personal on there. They're not prescription, they're reflection, a way to see what's already stirring and begin there. And I have a series on here, I'll put it somewhere here in the description for you, of the one that I made for myself and what I got from that. And if you're interested in human design, it might be worthwhile looking because it might give you ideas on how you can start thinking about your own human design and where you might want to research or dig a little bit deeper into your own human design. Because I do it a little bit differently than, I guess, the way I'm not a human design teacher. So I don't teach human design, but I share how I use human design. So if you're interested in that, you can go and you can look at that. You don't need to force your energy into clarity, only to feel your way there. So how to start your rippling? Let your body lead. Let your emotions breathe. Let your clarity emerge in its own timing. And that's where I'm going to leave you on this one. And if you want to, you can head on over to part 5, where we're going to talk about the thread that connects your clarity, safety, and self-trust.